They called him a fool, a failure, a disgrace to his wealthy family, but he called himself a servant of the Most High. This is the story of a man who gave up everything to follow Christ. The man who talked to animals, embraced lepers, and sparked a spiritual revolution. This is Saint Francis of Assisi. Francis was born in 1181 in Assisi, Italy. His father was a wealthy silk merchant, and young Francis grew up enjoying all the perks of privilege: fine clothes, lavish parties, and popularity. He was charismatic, a natural leader, and obsessed with the romantic idea of knighthood. He dreamed of glory on the battlefield, and when Assisi went to war, Francis saw his chance. He joined the army, but instead of fame, he was captured and spent nearly a year as a prisoner of war. It broke him and changed him. After returning home, something had shifted. The laughter, the wealth, the crowds. None of it satisfied him anymore. He began wandering the countryside, praying, helping the poor, and questioning everything he once loved. One day, while praying in the crumbling chapel of San Damiano, he heard a voice. Some say it was Christ himself, speak to him. "Francis, repair my church, which as you see is falling into ruin." Francis took it literally. He sold cloth from his father's shop to pay for stone and repairs. His father, enraged, dragged him before the town bishop. What happened next was radical. Francis stripped off his rich clothes, laid them at his father's feet, and declared, "From now on, I've only one Father, our Father in heaven." He walked away, barefoot and free. Francis now lived in utter poverty. He begged for food, wore a simple robe, and spent his days serving lepers, the sick, and the outcasts of Assisi. But it wasn't long before people noticed his joy, his peace, his courage. Others began to follow him. By 1209, a small group had formed, the beginnings of the Franciscan order. They made 3 simple vows: poverty, obedience, and chastity. No possessions, no homes, only the gospel. Francis once said, "Preach the gospel at all times. If necessary, use words." He believed actions, love, kindness, humility, spoke louder than sermons. One of the most famous things about Francis was his love for nature. He called animals his brothers and sisters, birds, wolves, even fish. He preached to them. And the wildest thing? Sometimes they seemed to listen. There's a story of Francis taming a vicious wolf that had been terrorizing a town. Instead of killing it, he spoke gently to it and brokered peace between the wolf and the villagers. To him, all of creation was part of God's choir. As his fame spread, so did the pressure. The church began to recognize the movement, and Francis handed over leadership to avoid pride or power. He chose to live in solitude and prayer. Near the end of his life, while deep in meditation, he received the stigmata, wounds that mirrored those of Christ on the cross. He never sought recognition. He just wanted to love God purely. In 1226, at the age of 44, Francis died, barefoot, blind, and singing praises to his Creator. In a world obsessed with more, Saint Francis chose less. In a world chasing influence, he chased simplicity. And in doing so, he gained something greater, a life truly free. To this day, his legacy challenges us to live differently, to see the poor, to love creation, and to walk humbly with God.